Okay, so we're gonna solve something here to start things off. We're gonna solve something that I think would be an amazing asset to the world if we figure this out. So the other day, I was eating ice cream with my lovely wife Breton. We ordered some Baskin Robbins. We got some mint chocolate chip and regular chocolate chip. I don't like mint chocolate chip, so she gets mint chocolate chip and I get regular chocolate chip. And I realized one of my big aversions to ice cream and why I don't love eating it. Sorry, I love eating it, but why I don't...
This is news to me.
Yeah, no. Why I don't eat it more is scooping. I hate scooping ice cream, right? I really hate it because there's a lot of things I hate about scooping. So first of all, at home, I hate scooping because you kind of have to hold the bucket to scoop, and that gets really cold, and there's usually like freezer condensation on it, and you get wet and sticky. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like maple syrup. Like no matter what you do, you can't avoid the stickiness. Right. Like you're always going to get sticky, which is annoying. And then, like sometimes you have a nice scoop, which is good, but sometimes you don't have a scoop and you just have a spoon. And sometimes if it's really hard, you hit the top and then a chunk goes like flying out, onto the table, and you're like,
this is now really getting into the point where I don't actually know what you're talking about.
When you okay, so let's say it's a brand new tub, right?
Right. Okay. So you haven't taken anything out yet.
Yeah. So you just have like a solid kind of, not a solid, like a flat surface, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's say it's really hard. Like before, let's say you try to scoop it a little bit because you don't want it to get melted. You start kind of digging in and you kind of get a little chunk off, right? But then your spoon is kind of like fighting to try to scoop it up. But then you kind of it kind of goes above the surface and then it flicks a piece of ice cream.
I've never had that happen, but I could see the physics. I've usually the spoon bends before I get to that point.
That's
I don't know if you've had that happen.
That's another thing that could happen if you have kind of spoons that bend.
But I've solved this. Like I figured out how to deal with after many failed attempts. I don't know if you have a solution.
Well, here's the other thing, right? The other thing you end up doing sometimes is I'll let it melt a little bit. Or you'll do what buffets do, which is they heat their spoon, right?
Which after COVID happened, seems like the most disgust. Right?
Right.
Like the ice cream scoop in buffets. That seems like it's the because at least everything else in a buffet is sort of you're just it seems like a little bit more sanitary. You're taking food, but the ice cream station was always seemed like very suspicious, right?
Well, and not to mention, it's a little weird, because you're like, now there's water on my ice cream.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is a little strange.
And that water is just just sitting there too.
Now, so before I bring up my point though, what is your solution after many failed attempts?
Yeah, so best way I found is a cup of hot water, or you can just run hot water from the tap, and then just wipe the spoon off with a towel before you put it in the ice cream. So you have a hot spoon.
Oh, so you have a hot spoon, but not wet spoon.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. But regardless, I feel like all this is a lot of effort for don't get me wrong, for one of the best desserts ever. It's ice cream is incredible, but it's a lot of effort. So I started thinking that these kind of things that you think of if you had a genie and you'd make 3 wishes or whatever. How amazing would it be if somehow we were able to come up with ice cream that you did not need to scoop? So here's the thing. So Dippin' Dots, right? Or Dippin' Dots, as they're called?
Yeah.
So the first time I had Dippin' Dots, they were not branded as Dippin' Dots, but they were, I actually had it at the Kennedy Space Center. So I believe Kennedy Space Center is in Florida, right?
I think that's the one in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
NASA.
So I'm pretty sure that's where we went, and it was part of I think we were there for Disney World or something like that, and we decided to take a side trip to the Kennedy Space Center.
That's fun.
And I'm sure nothing to do with space, but they had branded space ice cream.
Okay.
And
space ice cream is a thing though, right? Isn't it?
It is, and it's kind of like a dry. Isn't it like a dry bar? It's like
yeah. I don't think it's cold. Yeah, I don't think it's cold. So I think it's maybe freeze dried.
something like, exactly. That sounds right. Actually, so maybe they are related then, to be honest. Maybe it is similar.
So this wasn't cold?
No, this was cold, actually.
It was cold,
I just kind of make the joke because it's probably like one of those things where it's like, oh, that's branded space ice cream.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I had it, and it was like, these little dots, right? Little dots of ice cream.
Yeah.
And I remember loving it. So and that's why when Dippin' Dots started showing up in like Cineplexes, I was like, what the hell? So I remember one of the big aspects of that ice cream when I was at the Kennedy Space Center was like the amazingness of it is the scoopability, because it's like balls, right? You just like,
it's like cereal, but ice cream.
Yeah, exactly, right? so that kind of solves it, but like that for sure is not the ice cream experience, right? Like
it's a completely different product, right?
Totally,
like,
which I love, but you're right. Exactly, it's totally different. So how do we figure this out? Like how can we make ice cream that you don't need to scoop? I'm just
you
as
mean
I'm
at
talking,
home, right? Not because the obvious solution is just go. Like you go somewhere and they're scooping for you.
It's so true. It's so true. We do this by hiring labor to do it for us.
But there you go. You just hire like someone and all they do is scoop ice cream for you.
Scoop ice cream. Okay, well, let's make it if it's a bit more cost effective. Now, as I was just talking, I was wondering, maybe like Dippin' Dots, but just a bigger form of that. Like you have these like pre-scooped circles.
Pre-scooped, right? Yeah.
And you just like crack them open, and you crack 3 open. You get
I don't even know if you have to crack it open. I feel like
that's key. That's key.
If they're just like the ice cream scoops, right?
Yeah.
Like even if they put that in a container, it's probably a lot easier, right, to handle.
Yeah.
Than trying to scoop it out. So yeah, I could see that working.
I think we're onto something there. Yeah, like just pre-scooped and just in a certain container that has them separate, so they're really easy. Like you could just take like a fork and grab like 3 balls and put them in your bowl. Yeah. I think I was
gonna say the other aspect of this is there's some ice cream that is not that hard, right? But again, this kind of gets into the same thing as the Dippin' Dots. It's not the same product, but you know what I'm talking about, right? There's some ice cream that like no matter how cold it is, it's like not
like soft serve, right?
Not like
not even soft serve. Like
it's still like kind of on the harder ice cream side of things, but it's not the same.
But I don't know if that's by design though, or if they like because I know some of these ice creams that you buy like they just no matter how cold they get and I wonder if it's a sugar factor, like because they have so much sugar
or what it's made out of.
Exactly.
I don't think it's real milk. Maybe that's the
I didn't actually think we'd solve this on the podcast, but I think we have.
We have, yeah. I was also going to say, I read the other day, I don't know if Dippin' Dots is still around. Like, I mean, I guess we wouldn't know because the only place I've seen it is in a movie theater, and we haven't been in a while. But I think I read on Reddit or somewhere on Twitter, somebody got a hold of a Dippin' Dot machine. And has it at home, and apparently like you can just feed it like because it actually makes it. I didn't know that it actually the machine actually makes the I guess dots, right? Is that what they're called? It makes it in the machine. And so you could basically mix whatever flavor you want and it'll make.
Sorry. I was half looking at some information on my computer here. You're saying like the vending machine itself makes it?
I think so, or unless there's another machine.
Okay,
But like, I mean, whenever you buy it, I don't know how it works. Is it prepackaged or is it?
I think they're prepackaged because they have that vacuum thing that sucks it up and then. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some like.
So a machine that makes those, right?
Yeah. Spits out these little balls or whatever.
So there you go. Maybe your wish could just be a Dippin' Dot machine at home.
But that makes bigger balls though. Like, cause I'm almost picturing like your what's that? What is it? Is it not whiskey? What's the thing you make your big round ice cubes?
I mean they have spherical ice molds. Yeah,
exactly. So I feel like we solved this. This needs to be a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
If you are in any way connected to the ice cream industry, or this is the thing. I feel like there are certain industries in life that you just never meet anybody from. Like I've never met anybody that's remotely connected to the ice cream industry.
Right.
But if you are, send.
Yeah, we have ideas. We can. Yeah.
I mean,
this is now got me thinking of like another take on this, kind of on the machine thing, is what if you could just basically like, I don't know, like a giant, like instant coffee, like an espresso, like Keurig machine.
Yeah.
Where you basically just feed it a whole tub of ice cream.
Yeah.
And then like you can just press a button and it's like dispenses
almost like
scoops.
Almost like a melon baller.
Yeah.
Like it kind of just like balls out the. Yeah, totally.
That could work too, because then you can put any ice cream in it, right?
I think that would actually be very viable, because like I think all you just need is a strong enough motor with like this cupping scoop, right? That just like carves into the and you just get a block of ice cream, open it up, put it in.
Yeah.
And then it just scoops it and spits it out. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Cuz that I feel like you wouldn't have to worry about
you don't have to make the ice cream, right? You just put any ice cream.
It could be whatever ice cream you want. You just throw it in there and then this thing.
There we go.
Yes.
We've already iterated on this perfect idea.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everybody to the ETC podcast, your one-stop pod for entertainment, technology, cars, and all things related and random. My name is Casey Lee, and sitting across from me, as always, is
Aaron Zanenko.
This is episode 63. That's 70 minus 7. It is 70 minus 7, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my math's not checking out these days. But yes, it is our April Fool's Spectacular, where we're going to talk.
That intro was not April Fool's. No. We were dead serious about that.
We prepared a lot to just, be crazy fools on this episode. No. This is it. We're kind of back to our regular programming. We want to thank everybody who tuned in and wrote in and everything to our big E spectacular last week. As Aaron pointed out after the fact that
I pointed out a lot of things.
That it was a double fat. It was a double fat episode. Yes. It was effectively a double fat episode. Now,
so thank you if you listened to the whole thing. That's thank you.
Yeah. Dedication for those who watched it, and again, big thanks to Deanna for giving us the idea and for writing us a very nice email afterwards. Actually, after we did it, so I learned a ton. Hopefully, you guys learned a ton, and this really gives rise to more theme episodes. I mean, when we do the list episodes, I really enjoy those. Yeah. And you know what the funny thing is, I'm curious what the fans think, because I don't know about you, but when I watch Top Gear, I actually don't like the specials. Right. I don't like when they take these big trips to whatever. I actually like the regular show more. The only episode that I think was even close to a special that I liked was the 24-hour Le Mans race that they did. But in general, I don't love their big long trips. I don't find them particular. Like, do you like those episodes better than the regular episodes? Did you?
I mean, like, I think there's a big variety there, right? So some of them I definitely enjoy a lot more than oothers, right? Some of them were sort of like, whatever. I mean, it's not like they're bad, and I think the thing is they're pretty far off like their typical format.
Yes.
That again, if you want to just see straight up Top Gear like they do every regular episode, then it definitely is very far. But even though the last episode was very specific on one topic and a lot more in depth and longer, I still don't think it was like that radically different than what we normally do. So yeah.
No, yeah. But yeah, I like, so I guess as a consumer, I usually don't like those types of things, but as a producer, I love it. It was a lot of fun. Again, I learned a lot, which was great, and lots of good discussion. So really happy about that. But now we're back to our regular programming. So before we get started though with today, I do want to mention one thing about last episode is that, so I don't know how many of you guys out there actually watch our podcast. I know a couple of you do, but when you watch our podcast, there is little kind of hidden messages. But when we take a break, every time we take a break, there's like a little message on there. It's not really hidden; it's just there. But the last one that I put for the Big E episode, the thing that I put in that little kind of break piece, is kind of a little bit of a brain teaser puzzle. And I'm curious if anybody can figure out what I'm trying to say in that brain teaser puzzle. Even
I don't even know about this. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to look at it. And this is real. This is not an April 1st thing.
This is not an April Fool's thing. It's not like a super cerebral puzzle, But I'm very curious for the people who can figure out what I'm trying to say in what I've put in that. So check out episode 62 on YouTube. Go to the break when we say, hey, and now we're going to take a break. I think it's around the 30-minute mark. You'll see a little kind of message, and I'm curious if people can figure it out. Send in your responses to podcast.etc@gmail.com. Okay, we start today with a little bit of news about something that has solved two problems in life. And I think like we just solved one.
Yeah. So this is not ice cream related. This is
not ice cream related.
Different
problem. It is half related, and unlike the last one, we don't have to solve this because they've solved it already.
Nice.
Which is awesome. So this is a very common problem. I face it. You probably face it. A lot of people face this problem. So you get up in the morning and you decide what do you want to have for breakfast, right? You know, some people eat eggs, some people eat toast, whatever. And some of us eat cereal, right? Not necessarily the most healthy thing, but some of us eat cereal. And the problem we have all the time is usually we pick a cereal that we enjoy the taste of, but there's usually maybe some kind of soy ingredient that you're allergic to that gives you an itchy throat. And
totally did not know this is where this is going. It's very specific.
You're very conflicted. This is a problem that a lot of people face. For example, I face this when I eat Vector. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, is it Kellogg's? I don't even know who makes it. Vector cereal.
I think so. Yeah.
Have you ever had Vector cereal?
Yeah. Vector is it like the fancy Rice Krispies basically? Like not fancy.
No. They're I believe they're flakes. They're flakes with stuff on it. Yeah, kind of like
maybe they have a Rice Krispie version too.
They're very possible. Yeah, they're kind of like a whole brand.
It's basically cornflakes, right? Like
I would the closest thing I would describe it to is like a tasty bran flake. It's kind of like what it's like. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I've been a fan of Vector a long time, but the biggest issue I have is I think there is some soy product in it that makes my throat itchy.
Okay.
So this is annoying because I love Vector, but I get an itchy throat.
Yeah.
You know, it's not anaphylactic, thank God. But it's been a long time since we've done some cereal news. There is some cereal news. So Vector has introduced a Vector Maple Crunch. Okay. And the first problem, you know what's funny? I don't even know if it solves this problem. they might still have soy in it.
Where's the soy-free part come into this?
It doesn't even, I don't even know. I just assumed. Yeah. I just assumed because it's a new Vector cereal that maybe doesn't. So
basically you're announcing that this sounds great and you're going to continue with, dealing with the itchy throat.
Yeah. Well, here's the weird part. Like, okay, the reality is I don't even know if the original Vector has soy. I just assume it's soy because like the things that give me itchy throat, right?
Yeah.
It's like fruits, like apples, pears, and by the way, there's a lot of people who have this like allergy where it's like it's something to do. Like I've read so many different things, but it's one of these weird things where like when you bake an apple, like apple pie, for example, I don't get an itchy throat. And again, it's not weird because I know a lot of people have this thing, and I've heard different things where it's like, oh, it's like the stuff they spray on apples that gives you the itchy throat. I've also heard it's like the skin, the way there's some weird thing about it where like bacon kills it off. Anyways, so the other thing that gives me the same allergic reaction is soy. So when I eat tofu, it's kind of basically this really, really mild allergy. Okay. It's like so mild that again, I will eat stuff that gives me an itchy. Like I eat pears even though they give me an itchy throat.
Yeah.
So I assumed it's soy, but it
could be something else.
One of many other things.
Apple skins in your Vector cereal.
I don't even know if maybe it's in my head. Maybe like it's not even really giving me. Like maybe it's a nut allergy. Like I've been developing certain itchy throats to certain nut.
Yeah. Yep. That's
anyways.
Yep.
It might solve it. Long story short, Vector has come out with
cereal.
Maple Crunch. But I didn't mention the second problem that it potentially solves, which is the shame that we feel as adults who like to eat Captain Crunch.
Okay.
Because Captain Crunch is delicious, but as an adult, you're like, I can't be seen eating this. And Vector Maple Crunch kind of looks like Captain Crunch. So
that's a plot twist.
I'm curious if it is like Captain Crunch and it's just like Captain Crunch for adults.
Huh.
But yes, Vector Maple Crunch. check it out in your local.
There's actually
local.
I don't know the name, but there's actually, I don't know, you saw there's this kind of like new cereal company that has come out with cereals that have basically, you know, all the classics, all the classic tastes. Like there's you know, Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops, but it's like super healthy. And so I haven't tried it, but apparently it's sugar free or like very low in sugar, so it must be you know, sweetened or something. But they basically have all the classic flavors, but basically like, you know, targeted towards adults who want to eat something
really
healthier. So I got to find the name. I'll find the name and put it in the notes. But you know, might be a way to you know, if you want to indulge in these things without, you know, dying, I guess, an early death.
And here I thought you would never bring anything to the cereal news.
The cereal, yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know, the sea of ETC.
And they're really cool. Like I gotta look up the company, but it's really well done. Like the boxes and everything. Like they did it in a way that, you know, like the Frosted Flake one. I don't think it's called that, right? But clearly it's that, and the box is done in a way that's sort of like, if like, you know, you were making Frosted Flakes targeted towards adults, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of. So I gotta look this up and
brand. Yeah. No, that's so very.
And then you don't have to feel ashamed, right? You can eat whatever you want.
Yeah. Exactly. Dyson made a big announcement last week. So, you know, Dyson obviously popular with making, you know, they started with vacuums, right? That was their first product, was a vacuum?
Yeah, I think so. And it's a really interesting story with, that's his name, right? That's the founder's name, right? James Dyson, I think.
James, yes.
But that's interchangeable, I think, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think it was vacuums.
Yeah, so they started off with vacuums. I very happily during the pandemic bought myself a V7, and so obviously they make straighteners, they make fans now, air purifiers, all this stuff like that. So they have obviously, you know, it's so funny when they came out with the V6 Dyson. I literally interpreted that as like, oh, more power, like a V6 engine.
Oh yeah,
and then the 7 and the 8, I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, why? And then I was
going up and up.
But then I was like, wait, no, this just I think it just stands for version. I think that's what V stands for. Like version.
It's at least or like just a model. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the latest one is the V11 that came out a year or so ago. It's kind of the top of the line, $1,000 vacuum. But last week they announced their brand new one, and it is so good that they jumped 4 versions. So they went from V11 to the V15. So the V15 was announced. Did you see this announcement?
I did not. No, 15 sounds kind of like, and this is not April. I feel like this whole episode, it's just like, it's on the borderline because it almost sounds
like we're joking.
Sounds like a joke, right? To be like, we were the V18 Dyson, right? Like,
I know this is the tough thing, right? Because I feel like, what makes our podcast interesting is I do things like serial news, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. Like this is something that someone would do on April Fools, right?
Yeah.
So the V15 came out.
Okay.
And so, you know, the V11 had like an LCD back display, all this cool stuff or whatever, right? But the V15, so it's crazy. So the V15 has a little laser light on the front of the vacuum head.
Okay. Yeah.
And what this thing does is it shines a laser on your floor so that you can visually see microscopic dust that you might have missed when you're vacuuming.
Wow.
And so you see all these little dust specks, and then when you vacuum, it goes away. So it's a really cool little laser green light that shines.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And then when it sucks up into the thing itself, the vacuum, it hits a little piezo sensor. Okay. So piezo being pressure sensitive, I believe that's what piezo is, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And it measures the diameter of the dust particles that you're sucking up. So it gives you a little report on the back of your vacuum that you've gotten all these little particles.
That's amazing.
So that's really cool. So that Dyson V15's out. There's also a lot of other really cool things they introduced. Like they even introduced a cantered, is that the right word? A cantered like spinny thing. Like, do you have a Dyson? Do you have a Dyson vacuum?
I have like from a while back, like one of their uprights. I don't know what it is, but the ball, one of the ball ones.
Oh, you're one of the rare people who has the legit Dyson vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like 15 years old at this point, like or something. Or,
is it still good or?
Yeah, it still works. We don't use it a lot now because the robots have taken over. But
that's right. Yeah, that's right. You guys, yeah. But did you ever get the issue where you had to like basically untangle hair from the rolly thing?
I mean, I'm sure at some point, we probably had to clean it out.
So it's kind of cool. The new one, they've kind of made the rolly thing almost like a triangle.
Okay.
So as it rolls, the hair slowly makes its way down to the end.
Yeah.
And then the hair just gets sucked up into the vacuum.
Yeah.
So it's like, so brilliant. And
I
then
love
they
how
also,
it's just like they keep, like it's kind of like the better mousetrap kind of thing, right? Like I love it just because, no matter what, they'll just keep finding a way to make it better. Even if people are not really asking for this, right? Like, again, it's like no one's asking for a laser. Like I need a laser like thing to see the dust things, right? But super cool.
Yeah, and then the last thing they kind of introduced is kind of like a smaller kind of handheld. It's kind of cool. It looks more like a broom almost.
Okay.
And what's really cool is the head that they have at the end of it is more like a omnidirectional head. So it's got like a bunch of rollers in different directions.
Interesting.
And it kind of like, it's almost like a Swiffer. Like, like how Swiffer, you can kind of rotate the head like any way you want.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So it's a vacuum that you can kind of rotate the head fully like 360 degrees.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet. So Dyson V15. Nice. Not a joke at all. So yes. So let's do you have any news?
I mean, we should like, do you have any April Fool's things that you've seen? I feel like maybe like I don't know if you saw anything. There's one or two things I saw today. I don't know if you the big one I think is I don't know if you saw what happened with Volkswagen and their whole it seems like a bit of a fail, but I don't know if you've seen this story.
So I saw a couple of headlines last week leading up to it.
Yeah.
And I heard about a name change, and then like a day or two ago, I heard that it kind of leaked that maybe this is just an April Fool's joke.
Also, like you're touching on the very first thing here, which is like, what a horrible April Fool's joke if you heard about this like a week ago, right? Like,
and I didn't really see what the conclusion was. So what's the full story here? What's the full story here?
So like I don't even know if you like the original plan. I don't even know if you could call it a joke, which maybe again this is probably why it failed, right? Like I think April Fools, you have to be pretty committed, and it can't be borderline, right? Like it needs to be a joke, right? And something like unbelievable. So as I understand it, like Volkswagen's really getting heavily into electric vehicles now. Awesome, right? And they're kind of like going head to head against Tesla. Like they had a new CEO come in a little while back, and he really called out Elon Musk, and there's a bit of like a competition going on there. But basically, their whole kind of April Fool's thing was, we've changed our name to Volkswagen. So like instead of VOLK, VOLT, like electricity volt.
And by the way, when I first heard that, like I didn't realize the leak was that they were going to change their name. I thought that like their division of electric vehicles would be Volkswagen, and I thought that was actually amazing. I thought that was a great.
It's a great name, right?
Yeah,
so I think this is part of the problem. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. You can kind of believe that, right? So totally. their whole thing was, we're changing our name, and then it was going to coincide with a big kind of advertising thing where like, oh, these are all the new electric cars and stuff like that, right? Like they don't exist yet, but a bit of an advertising campaign. But I think you can immediately see what the issue here is. Like that's not a really great joke. Like it's almost like it's like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? Like you can almost be like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. Right?
It's almost like the April Fool's joke was going to be like, hey, we're a big corporation, and our we're going to go green this year.
We're going to make
April
electric
Fools,
vehicles. It's like but they actually are going to make electric vehicles, right? So it's like this is it's not a joke at all. But so what happened was it kind of leaked, right? Because again, they're a huge company, so it's not like if you have these plans, and I'm assuming, like again, I think they took it too far in that they actually had a bit of like like advertising campaign and stuff, right? Whereas usually April Fools, like you don't put a lot of effort into it, and you just like put up a blog post the day of. So I think because they had all this stuff ready to go, it leaked, and then not only did it leak, because again they did such a horrible job making a joke, journalists were like, oh, this is real, like they actually are doing this. And so all of a sudden, people start reporting on this. Not only that, but their stock price shot up because
really?
Because people were like, oh wow, they're doing all this like electric vehicle investment.
That's crazy.
And so they basically got into a bunch of trouble because the legal department came in probably at some point and said like, what are you doing? Like this is like this is leaking and it's our stock price is going up and that maybe is not legal, right? Because you can't if you're not actually going to do it, right? Like leaking something that affects your price, news, whatever, is technically illegal, in some views, right? So that's basically what happened. And then that's where it went from, like 2 days ago, they're like, no, it's a joke, right? Which again, it's like the fact that they had to explain it, just like it ruined it even further, right? And then the journalists were really mad because they're like, what do you, it's like, this is a terrible joke. Like, why, like, it's not even funny. And like, we had to write all this and, so that's what I understand about the situation. So, there's a bit of like,
Well, it's so bad too in the wake of like their previous scandal, right? Of like, whatever, their EV emission scandal, right? It's like, oh, we're gonna do something again, great and environmental, and no,
it's like psych, it's a joke, but but not really. So
funny.
that's that was the story with Volkswagen, which quite funny.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back after this. And we are back on this Thursday, April 1st, 2021, episode 63 of the ETC podcast, the April Fool's Spectacular. Again, a lot of work went into this episode. Let's get back to a segment that we had to skip last week because of our Big E special. We're going to get back to Do Your Thing. So this comes courtesy of Brody, our good friend Brody. He tweeted at us, Do Your Thing. And because I'm not organized, I can't bring it up because I'm not logged into Twitter or whatever. But I do remember what the news was.
Okay.
So we went and saw Knives Out in the theater.
Yeah, was that the last? I'm trying to remember the last movie we saw in person.
It must have been one of the last movies that we saw in person. Yeah, for sure. So Netflix has signed a something $1 million. I want to say 80 million, but that sounds way too little, right? Wouldn't it have to be like?
Are we talking about like a movie?
Like budget? Like so they've signed some kind of $1 million
actually 80
deal.
million, like it was. I don't think it depends on the movie, but do you remember what was that? Like I think Ryan Reynolds like kind of like pseudo Fast and Furious movie. Did you hear about that? Like something underground, 6 Underground or something. But it's basically it was on Netflix. It was basically Ryan Reynolds and a bunch of people, and it's sort of like a very Fast and Furious-esque kind of movie.
Okay, I didn't know that was Fast and Furious. I only saw the thumbnail.
Yeah. It was an action movie, but I think that was like 200 million or something. Like the budget on that. So
well, that's why I was wondering. 80 sounds low, right? Doesn't it?
Depending on what movie, it could be low. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, here's the other thing. Like I should mention, like the big deal about this. So Netflix has signed a deal to make 2 Knives Out sequels.
Oh, sequels. Okay.
Yeah. So Knives Out 2 and Knives Out 3. So Knives Out 3, Tokyo Drift, and two Knives Too Furious. And I wish I had the tweet here, but I'm assuming Daniel Craig is attached to it. He was in the picture that Brody tweeted.
Right.
So yeah,
I'm assuming it follows because, like, again, I won't give away the ending of that, but like that movie didn't seem like it was going to be
sequel,
like continuing. So maybe this is sort of like centering around Daniel Craig on another adventure.
That would make sense, right? Like, kind of like another kind of mystery or whatever.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool if they pulled a kind of like True Detective or whatever, like these movies, or it's like same world,
that too,
but a completely different cast and different
same style.
Yeah. But I think one of the draws of Knives Out was Daniel Craig, so I feel like they would probably try to maximize that as much as they could. So
was it based off any like original
it's a
book or
it's a good
story or
question.
something?
It's a very good question.
Because I could definitely see that being like sort of like a Sherlock kind of series or something, right? Like
true, right? True, yeah. I mean, it was a very unexpected movie, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's the thing with Rian Johnson, right? Like between that and Looper, like they're kind of like unexpectedly good movies, right? I kind of have Rian Johnson is one of these directors that I can't really form my opinion of. I don't really know how much I like them or how much I don't. Like I really like Looper. I really like Knives Out, you know, but you know, Star Wars I didn't hate as much as everyone hated.
I mean, that's like what I find crazy is like that's such a huge jump, right? And to be honest, like Star Wars is such a huge production. I feel like he only had so much say in that, right? Like I think, you know, versus the smaller movies he's done where more of his original directive, you know, style maybe comes through. Star Wars is like the fact that he got to direct that is just kind of mind blowing, right?
Well, it's weird because I think we talked about this on the podcast, but like, so on Disney Plus, I started watching like that making of Last Jedi or whatever. And it's interesting how there seems to be a lot of like kind of subtle like talk about how like they didn't necessarily agree with Rian Johnson. Like it seems like there's a lot of like, oh yeah, Ryan's introducing his own, you know, thoughts, and I guess we're going there. Like Mark Hamill apparently, you know, was very open about how much he didn't like what they did with Luke's character in that movie.
Right.
You
It
know.
was definitely, you know, for whatever you want to say about that movie, whether you liked it or not. I feel like it's fairly accepted that it's probably the most original like Star Wars movie. Right. You know, and that's part of the reason why a lot of people did not like it.
Yeah.
But I feel, you know, for better or worse, it was definitely the kind of biggest departure, you know, in a lot of ways. But I think, maybe that's his kind of, you know, decision making coming through, right? Because again, like the fact that if you've watched his other movies, like that's his kind of MO, right? It's very original, right?
Yeah.
Really kind of like no matter what the genre is, right? He kind of then puts like a very original, unexpected twist on it. Yeah. So I thought it was a weird directorial choice because I feel like that's not what you want with Star Wars. Like you're not trying to like, you know, basically throw people off right? That are Star Wars fans, especially not at the, you know, like 8th movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In the middle of a trilogy. Yeah. You know, and a comeback, right? Like you know, and so definitely interesting. So anyways, it's apparently this is a Netflix deal, so again, it's going to be coming to Netflix.
Cool.
So Knives Out 2 and 3. Thanks, Brody. If you guys want us to talk about any subject, tweet at us hashtag do your thing at the ETC podcast on Twitter. And we will talk about it. All right, let's see what's on Aaron's noggin.
I feel after last week, I'm all like all my thoughts are
all noggined out.
All noggined out. But one thing I want to bring up, and this again more of a discussion. I don't really have huge thoughts on it, but Apple has announced their developer conference this year.
Right,
June 7th, online only because I think last year was online too, wasn't it?
Last year was online, yeah, it was.
So free again, no attendance fee like I think in the past where you did have to pay if you were attending in person.
Which is very cool, by the way. Like that's the first time. I mean, I didn't really watch a ton of it, but I did. I think we even talked. No, that doesn't make sense. We wouldn't have talked about it because we didn't come back until September. But like, did you watch any of the stuff last year?
Yeah, so well done. Again, the production value and again because unless you went to the conference, like they used to have recordings and stuff, but it was very like it wasn't catered towards that, right? The fact that everyone, you know, was watching this digitally, they put all their like production power and you know, money really behind it. It was like really, really well done. Like the production value is crazy for kind of a developer.
Well, you know what's really funny before you get to your point. So one thing I was really impressed with was like, for example, like their daily recaps that they had, which was really cool. Like they had this like
with
little
the Memoji like
exactly.
100%.
But then I remember watching one of the actual talks. And don't get me wrong, like the talk was pretty good, and you know, but it was so funny to see like the production value of an Apple keynote with a presenter who doesn't nearly have the energy of a Tim Cook or Steve Jobs, you know, like just kind of high.
But at the same time, cool because it was probably just someone on the team that actually worked on it, right? Like
totally.
They just got to like. Basically, okay, well, we'll put you in front of this $1 million film crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So,
and it's just like, and here's how you write your code, and here's the method, and it's like, okay. Anyway, sorry. So they've announced it this year.
I mean, I don't have much of a point other than, you know, it was kind of, you know, just bringing it up and also kind of curious, like what, because I actually don't know a lot about some of the big things that are coming up. I don't know if a lot's been announced. Like there's some rumors around, maybe a big push into AR, right? Because I don't know if you saw the little like preview, like the invite, but it was the Memoji, like I guess like a announcer or commentator, but she has glasses on.
Okay.
And the date is reflected in the glasses, and so the rumor is that it's going to be glasses. Like Apple's going to release AR glasses, which would be super cool because again, like I feel that's a product no one has done well, right?
Yeah.
Especially from a consumer level, right? Something you actually want to wear and use. And so, yeah, this will be interesting to see if that's true or not, or if that was just kind of like
that's shocking actually, because like I feel like there's been rumors circulating about that for years.
Totally.
And so the fact that their invitation kind of has a nod to it, that's super interesting. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see what they announce, but I don't know, is there's at this point, I think at some episode we talked about how, iOS has been around for so long that there's very little that's like, I feel like we wish it had this, right? It does so much now, but like, I don't know, is there anything that if you were to choose, like, hey, you wish iOS did something? I don't know if you had anything.
Yeah, it's funny because like even the biggest change that happened to iOS like last year, I don't even use, like the whole widgets home screen stuff.
Yeah,
like I tried it for like literally like seconds. I dragged a widget onto my home screen.
Yeah,
and I was like, I don't like this, and I put it right back. So I don't even use their biggest.
The only I agree with you, and it's funny with some of this Apple stuff, like especially now, right? I think it used to be where the things that came were like, oh, I wanted this for years, right? But now I think they've gotten to the point where a lot of things they introduce, I don't end up really fully adopting for like a good year after they release it. Combination of there's not that many things you can do with it, and then also I don't really kind of realize the benefit. But I agree with like a lot of the widget stuff. Like the only thing I actually use it for, there's two things. One, on my phone, I have there's a notes widget, which is really cool. So I don't know if like you use Notes app, but that's primarily what I use for note taking is just
me too. Yeah,
iOS Notes app. So they have a really cool widget that you can just pin on your home screen.
Right.
And it's nice because then you can see the last 3 notes you took and you just tap into it if you want to start a new note. So that's like super useful. And there's a really cool, like, it's hit and miss, but on my iPad, I really like the Photos widget. And you can tell the Photos widget to just basically draw from like random like photos in the past, like memories.
Yep.
And that one's cool just because it's like, every day it's a different photo and it kind of brings up like, oh, I remember that trip, or like, that's kind of neat, right? So,
I mean, I have to say one of the best things, that Apple's done, which I feel like was kind of under advertised, was their whole memories thing. When they create a little video for you, it's like amazing. Like it's great stuff actually.
Yeah.
What's funny? I find the thing with Apple these days is, like I get more excited about the stuff that bleeds out of my phone. Like, sorry, that's basically just like not on my phone. Like I got really excited about CarPlay, and then what happened with CarPlay over the last couple of years, because it's like I was starting to get an enhancement in my life from Apple that wasn't on my phone or my laptop, right?
Yeah.
And same thing goes with Apple TV. Like I'm actually really excited about what they're going to do with Apple TV this year. And I've been very happy, like when I first got my Apple TV, I remember like I wasn't even interested at all, and then Breton bought it for me, and I was like, my God, this is like game changing. That like it's basically like an iPhone on your TV.
Yeah.
I like when Apple starts to bleed into other parts of my life.
Yeah.
Right. Because to me, like the phone and the laptop are just so good now that anything that they introduce is very incremental, not that big a deal. But when CarPlay, the first time I used CarPlay, it wasn't mind blowing, but it was really nice to have like an Apple interface in my car, and an Apple interface on my TV and all that stuff like that. So I think any of this software stuff, upgrade stuff, if it bleeds into like more integration with Apple TV or more integration with CarPlay,
the rest of your life, right? Like
it's just so.
I mean,
cool.
That's why like the most mind blowing thing in iOS, in the last year or so has been spatial audio, right? Which is like not even like it's nothing to do with the phone. It's like another device that connects to it, right? And so, and even the watch, right? I think if anything, a lot of the watch stuff has been really impressive over the last few years, right? In terms of like software integrating and stuff. So yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. There's a lot of things they can do to kind of like, you know, reach into other things in your life.
I'll be really shocked if they do glasses. Actually, that'll be genuine. That'll be genuinely surprising if they do that. Like I didn't think it was anywhere near like on the radar of coming out soon or anything like that. But
it would be a surprise. But yeah, it is interesting how the invite really kind of like, you know, it's sort of like, yeah, why would they kind of show that reflection in the glasses, right? I think that's one thing. I think the only thing I would say is as like would be really cool to see, and there's some hints that some of this is coming is. I think a little while back they introduced kind of like that handoff feature where if your phone is near a HomePod Mini, you can hand off music to it. So all the new phones have a lot of have the, like basic capability to really know if it's in proximity of certain other things, right? To like a very high degree of accuracy. So I think there's still a lot they can do around, you know, your phone being much more aware of where you are or, you know, basically what you're doing, right? And just being like doing like, again, Apple's really good at just being very intuitive and removing little steps, right? So you remember they introduced like the Wi-Fi password sharing, right? So if someone's trying to connect, so good, right? It's just
that's like one of the best features I think they've ever introduced.
Yeah, and it's like something that like you don't think it's a big deal, but it just removes like a pain point that, you know, people, you know, experience so often. So other examples of that could be like, hey, like it'd be amazing if, you know, the Apple TV, right? Maybe the next iteration of this is not a remote that is kind of like people have complained about the remote and it doesn't quite work well with Siri and stuff like that. Maybe the next iteration of this is like, you know, maybe your phone should know when you're sitting down, like to watch TV and it just pulls up like a very specific, you know, remote experience, right? Stuff like that, right? I think would be really interesting. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I agree with Apple TV. Like, I mean, I hope they announce a new Apple TV, right?
Yeah. Apparently the big leak that has happened is apparently the new remote has a center button. That's the big that's like which the old one had,
more than
right?
that, but yeah, that's
yeah, the old one had a center button, and so apparently somewhere in the code or something like that there was a leak that referenced the center button. Okay. So there might be a center button on the new Apple TV release.
But June 7th, check it out. It's free to view online, and we'll see. Maybe it's I mean, it's much more relevant to you than me, and in terms of the glasses thing. But hey, maybe they'll have a version for non-glass wearers, and I'll be wearing some glasses.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, they can't be only targeting glasses wearers, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like I never really wore a watch until I got an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Right. Like occasionally I'd wear one as a fashion statement, but I really was not a watch wearer. Right. So
yeah, totally.
And in fact, in preparation for an Apple Watch, I was kind of wearing my watch more, like just to kind of like, kind of get used to it or whatever. So WWDC, FDK, by FDK BTW, for its worldwide developer conference. So again, for Apple. So. All right. You know, it's interesting because we're nowhere near like finished. And I don't have a ton here, but I will mention one thing. Which is right before this episode, me and Aaron have decided when the season is going to come to a close, actually. So season 7 of the ETC podcast is going to be ending towards the end of April. So the final episode will be April 22nd, 2021. Be sure to tune in for that. Our season finales are always the craziest, most off the chain episodes. I
don't know. What did we do last time?
You know, last time we did actually have we had the holiday spectacular. So
right. Okay, that was
so we actually did do something.
Right.
Yeah. So this one, I don't know. I have no idea, but I have a feeling it's going to be a very regular episode.
So you'll have to tune in to find out. Could go either way.
Yes. I mean, you guys can help us plan. We're open to suggestions on what that final episode could be. But yes, so this is the 4th last episode. We're going to do 3 more episodes, and then we're going to take a break. And you know what? We came back this time. We'll probably come back next time. Like, we're just holding on to that, not taking 8 years between seasons. So That is April 22nd, 2021 will be our last episode. So Gatorade developed a sweat patch. Did you hear about that?
A what?
A sweat patch, a digital sweat patch.
Okay. Sweat patch.
Before
you tell me, I feel like I should try to guess what this is.
I should probably look up what the heck this thing is. I don't even know what this is.
I'm gonna guess. Yeah. I'm gonna guess it measures. It measures not only the amount of sweat, but what is in your sweat, and analyzes that to make sure you are Gatorade, well hydrated.
Sure. I mean, I have no idea. I have really no idea what this thing does.
That's my guess. Let's see if I'm right.
I'm looking it up right now, and and this is a story, by the way, like from 4 weeks ago, I'm sure, at least. Gatorade developed some digital sweat patch that's surprisingly cheap. Actually, this thing is only $24 for a 2-pack.
Okay, it's definitely not what I said.
You throw this patch on. It slowly releases nicotine into your blood. No, not actually. What does this do?
Releases Gatorade into your blood.
Yes, that would be awesome. So know how you sweat so you can personalize your preparation and recovery. Collect the sweat from your workout and see what it says about you.
Okay, so that was kind of right. It's
okay, so it does
three
things. It does 3 things. It measures fluid loss.
Okay.
So the total amount of fluid you lose during a workout.
Okay.
Which is used to calculate your hydration needs.
Yeah. Okay. Check again.
2, it measures your sweat rate. So the amount you sweat over the course of 1 hour.
Interesting.
Which helps calculate your fluid loss.
How does it measuring this? Is it actually like a piece of hardware or something? Like how?
Yeah. So it's this thing that you stick on your skin, and I guess it syncs with your phone.
It's only $20 something.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
How does that work?
This is a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is sodium loss. The amount of sodium you lose through sweat used to calculate electrolyte needs. So electrolyte and fluid needs all in Gatorade.
Exactly. It's pretty smart. That actually works. Yeah.
Here's crazy. So I'm looking at a screenshot here. Like a simulation, and it says drink 16 ounces of fluid. Like it tells you. So it's basically like drink Gatorade. Like drink. Yeah. This is
that sounds pretty neat, actually. Whole world.
For $24, I feel like you should try this out. Like I would say I try it out, but I never work out. So.
I mean, this whole it's really interesting. Obviously Apple Watch is a big kind of wearable right now, but I don't know if you've been keeping up with some that whole kind of industry, I guess. There's some pretty cool stuff out there now. Like again, like it's when I think the Apple Watch stuff first came out, like there was that whole kind of thing around, we're gonna, biohacking and stuff like that, and we're gonna have all these cool things. And there's actually some pretty cool stuff. Like I saw one person basically you can implant this little RFID thing into your hand, and you can use that for anything that has RFID, doors and stuff, right, where you have a key card,
right,
stuff like that. Somebody even implanted a Tesla one into their hand, and then because new Teslas, they don't have a key, but you can get a hotel card type thing. Somebody put in their hand, and they just have to put their hand to start the car, which is again super cool, right? Very futuristic. So there's a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff is now becoming more mainstream. So I've actually seen, it's not fully to market yet, but this, have you ever seen anyone who is diabetic, whatever, how they take a little blood test, right, to measure blood sugar?
Totally. Yeah.
And there used to be devices that are kind of more medical grade, where if you were severely diabetic, you would actually get one surgically implanted into you, and that would measure you all the time. There's a device now that, again, very much developed by startup, really slick, that anyone can use. So not just diabetics, but if you're just an athlete, right, or someone who really wants to measure your blood sugar levels. But it's a slick device, you just basically put on you, and there's even an applicator to basically anyone can put it on their arm or wherever, and it just injects, right? And it measures your blood blood sugar, which is kind of crazy. There's all these new wristbands and stuff that are basically like Apple Watch, but on the next level, because Apple Watch is like, I don't know if you've noticed, like it does the basics of like heart rate and stuff, but it's not like it's not constantly measuring sometimes, and doesn't accurately measure like perfectly. Like it does a kind of a good job, but if you're an athlete or someone, right, it doesn't measure it in real time constantly. So there's a whole bunch of new kind of like smart trackers. It's sort of like evolution, the next generation after like the Fitbits and everything, that apparently are super accurate. The battery lasts like 7 days, like stuff like that. So this whole wearables thing, I feel like there's still a lot of new products coming out in that category.
Who's that guy who like is slowly becoming a cyborg? He's some guy who like constantly is implanting like technology into his body. Do you know this guy?
It sounds really familiar. Yeah, I don't know the name.
Yeah. Like there's some like relatively like famous guy. I mean, for doing this, like I think he's constantly putting like sensors and stuff like that in his body, to like not to become a cyborg, but like to kind of like just like take advantage of technology and all this stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, So, anyways, the Gatorade Sweat Patch, powered by Epicor Biosystems. You can buy it today online. Again, a 2-pack for $24.99. You can buy what is this? Each 2-pack. Yeah, each 2-pack is $24.99. You can order these things.
I don't understand how cheap it is. It's crazy. Yeah, right? I mean, I guess it's limited time use, right? Like
that's the thing. I have a feeling they're like maybe a one-time use thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so definitely
I might check that out.
Yeah. And report back and see what it's going on about.
I'll be like, I drank 2 liters of Gatorade.
Yeah.
that's all I learned. Right. They told me to drink lots of Gatorade.
We're clearly running out of material here, so exactly. I think it's probably like good that we're ending the season soon. We need to recoup. I need to take more notes during the week. Legitimately, I'm like, I don't have anything else to talk about. So, all right, we're coming to a close here on episode 63 of the ETC podcast, your one-stop shop for entertainment, technology, and cars. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to email us at podcast.etc@gmail.com or leave a tweet for us, #DoYourThing if you want us to talk about something, or just leave us a regular message at the ETC podcast. You can also visit our favorite website, not our favorite website, our own website, anchor.fm/the-etc-podcast. The ETC podcast is currently hosted on anchor.fm, but distributed to all your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and more. This is the problem. I always have that piece like nailed, and then I don't know how to get out of it. It's like, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel where you can subscribe, leave comments, and thumbs up.
And solve the puzzle, right?
Yes, solve the puzzle. I really am curious if people can figure this out. If they can figure out the puzzle on our last episode, I'll be very impressed. Yeah. You will get an official shout out on the ETC podcast, although to be fair, that's not a very hard thing to get. But you'll get an official shout out on the ETC podcast. Figure it out. But don't forget to listen for the next couple of weeks because we're still on the air, but our season finale is April 22nd, 2021. Let's just whatever. Don't forget to eat some Vector Maple Crunch. It's supposedly delicious. I haven't tried it yet, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, that is it for this wonderful April 1st, 2021.
We got
April Fool's Day. The April Fool's spectacular episode. Yeah. We hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Casey Lee, and sitting across the city from me, as always, is
Aaron Zanecker.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Ice cream balls. I like that idea.